What we're doing in concept and production is we're moving forward with the graphic user interface, which could be maps. So I want to talk about like what you could be doing for the graphic user interface. We're of course going to be reviewing your props and see how that's going. But I do want to talk and introduce this idea of what graphic user interface is and talk about what your ideas might be for that. So we are going to benchmark, do thumbnails and sketches and color and form, and some of you have already done some of this work already. And there are some student examples on this part of the site. Sometimes it's just organizing the props in the inventory, but also incorporating the actions or what somebody is capable of doing. So sometimes it's elements that your character can use, and these are just like waiting and holding for something that will be used later. So let's take a look at what some of the students did previously for the graphic user interface. Maps are a big deal in this industry, especially if you're walking through spaces and you need to gather or conquer things. So creating a map, if you're familiar with D&D, maps are a pretty big deal in that part of the industry, and often we bring that into our casual game elements. So here, Kylia has like a check sheet essentially of places that you're supposed to go for different side quests and main quests. When you or graphic user interface icons, are they easy enough to understand for everybody else? So, hi Logan, welcome in. Just so you know, I'm recording this so our other group can see and hear what we're talking about for these examples. So next one is Sarah Ling. Now this is actually a really good place to start. Like really, you're making kind of a wireframe and you're checking out if it functions. So with Sarah's, she's putting it into the iPad or the tablet, and we were able to then test it by being able to click onto a device and make sure that it functioned. So really starting out, all of you should do sketches and see if, even if you like print it out or put it onto your computer at the size of what an iPad or a phone is, that will help. So keep zooming out will be my recommendation, and see if you can push the buttons. If they're like way too tiny, they're hard to see and hard to actually put your finger on. So this is often as far as you might need to go, especially if you're the director and then someone else does the production art. So, so this is a character set. You have multiple characters and it kind of spins around and it says pick me. You can kind of arrow through. Oops, that's not a functioning arrow. The characters and try to pick different ones, and you have to purchase that outfit or that character with the coins that you've collected. So a lot of times there's currency in these apps. I know, like Ava, you probably got the candy. Is that going to be currency in your app?
Maybe, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. So think about what your currency is. Typically there is something and what you might end up buying with it. It would be good to do more sketches for like multiple sets of what your graphic user interface looks like, because you can really pitch these out and people will understand that it's supposed to match the look and the feel of your characters. This is also a pretty nice piece for printing, which is what we do at the end of your time here. We're getting ready for the senior show right now. So this kind of thing can get printed pretty large. So more graphic user interface. We've got shot, avatar inventory. So we were in that avatar section. This is the start page. So you might have like a start screen, which you can slightly animate, but it's just the ideas of these things that are good to mention. This is Joe Mead's graphic user interface, and I'm actually going to go backwards here, which makes it look not so great. But once we're in the inventory, then well, actually, he starts talking. So you just kind of would click through the, to find the next conversational pieces. I know, well, I think it's Erica that's going to be using conversation within. Are any of you guys using conversation in your pieces? Or talking people where you're going to use text? No? Okay. Anna Jarrett's, the benchmarks, when we look at graphic user interface benchmarks, which we'll look at yours today as well, if you have them. Having explanations on things like cards is really helpful. This is from the night of the full moon. And then this was the the sketch that Anna came up with, Anna Jarrett, where the cards would be laid out. We've got the point system and just trying to figure that stuff out. So you definitely want to show your clients the sketch before you go to the final kind of work. And she adjusted some of the things before she got to this point. And then here's some color and then what it looked like in the final. So one of the things that you'll see on our website, in the underneath graphic user interface, there's a digital display mock-up, and we have access to different kind of iPads and phones, and that's in this link right here. So this is a downloadable zip file, which has a lot of different phones. They always, these are constantly updating, so I'm not guaranteeing that this is going to be completely up to date. But it's not required to have that content on there, but it's really, really helpful, and I think a lot of the students that pushed it further into that made them look more believable as an asset. You can also get these from online, a lot of different sources. Just try to make sure that you get them for free. Basically, you just are putting the Photoshop file into there and kind of rotating it, and Adam worked on getting it to be kind of highlighted over top of it. So the thing you're checking is if there are buttons that you have to push, can you take your thumb and put it on there? And if the buttons are like in the middle, it won't really function. So those are things to think about. Here's a more of a three-dimensional map that another student did, and so that initial one was a sketch, and this is more of the slightly finished piece for the lore part. And then Eden did some animation. This was above and beyond really where it needed to go, but some of you guys do like to kind of create more finished looks for the graphic user interface. This is the inventory that would pop out. And then this was the GUI in-game. I think I might not be sharing sound, is that right? Kenny, can you hear that? Okay. It's just so tiny sound in my, it's like, it's jazzy. So think about elements that come out when you push them and things like that. And then just one more, this is Hannah Miedema's, a little bit more simplified forms that are see-through, but they're really obvious what they are. They're push, go forward, go backwards, because this is a side-scrolling game. This is the light, which is what you are carrying to try to fend off the beast. And I think this is like the power that it gives you. You can kind of get a burst of power. When you show your graphic user interface, you may want to use some of these elements, like show that you can click on these elements. This goes into the notebook. This is the health of this character, and then this is the health or wellness of this character, which can hover over the interesting fella over here. So like what are you going to use for yours? That's really what we're thinking about, and kind of the simplification that's required to get those ideas across. This is when you go into the notebook. And again, she's using, this is quite nice because it's in the iPad. She's got the hands holding it. The background is looking like the rest of the game, and she has these little elements. So very nice presentation, which makes it more like believable in the context of what the game is supposed to be. So with that said, let's take you back to the graphic user interface section. So buttons for navigations or actions, icons for game assets, badges, stickers for achievements, help indicator, available lives. These are just ideas. You guys will all have different things that you might like to do. So level indicators, map, weapon selection, available ammo.